That's a real bummer, man.
Yeah, this just in. These don't work anymore.
Oh well.
That's okay, they're ugly. Last week on Sailing Adrift, we had a little fun with our hydraulic cylinder after it came back from repair. And by fun, I mean we made a giant mess all over the place, not once, but twice. Fortunately, our second attempt was much more successful, and we ended on a decent note. Today I'm back at it making templates. I got this cabinet over here done the other day, and now I'm working on this one. I'd say my average time is about 15 minutes per template. Got 6 templates, 3 shelves, 2 each. 6 times 15 is 90. That's like watching a movie. Way more exciting. Status update, it's about 90 minutes later, and look at the progress. Ooh, look at all that blue tape. Yeah. So I've been in this compromised position for quite some time. It's called crisscross applesauce. I can't feel my legs, so getting out of here might be somewhat of a challenge. I'm just gonna hang out and stare at stuff for a while. Recent discovery. The shelves that we have installed are now too close to the windowsill. Now that I can feel my legs again, it's time to get my happy ass up and figure this out.
Where are you? Where? I don't see you. Oh, where you been?
Where's your shirt?
Fell off.
I grabbed one of the frames because I was thinking this seemed wider, and I was right. So the frames no longer fit with the shelves.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's supposed to come down, and that's supposed to go down. That's not gonna work. The frame is too wide from the window to the shelf.
Shelf?
Yeah.
That's a real bummer, man.
Yeah, this just in. These don't work anymore.
Oh well.
That's okay, they're ugly. This is distracting.
What?
For those of you at home who can't see what I'm seeing, this is basically what I'm looking at, and why I'm so distracted.
I got you a drink.
You did?
Yeah, come on down. My sanding is taking forever. Like always. Yeah, and I'm only like a quarter of the way done because I'm only on the 150 grit. Then I got to switch to 220 because 220 is real smooth.
Yeah.
Just like me.
Just like you.
Oh, so smooth, yet so hairy. Here.
Oh, thanks. Jesus.
There's booze in it.
Work party.
And lime juice.
Oh, you think of everything.
I think of everything. Anyway, I'm gonna go sand now.
Okay.
Next up, I emerge from the neighbor's giant field of grass to turn this 2-inch by 8-inch chunk of ash tree into these in just 412 mind-numbing steps. Cut these into 1.5-inch strips off that big board we started with. Sanded them with 150 grit and 220 grit after rounding off the sides with the router. So these, there's plenty. There's 16 5-foot sections. So that should easily take care of the aft cabin, and we'll have some left over if another project comes up where we want to use them. Pretty cool. Glad to be done. That was a lot of freaking sanding and cutting and just kind of boring work. Now that the aft cabin is insulated and we've got our vinyl up on the hidden parts, it's time to tackle the area around the port lights. To do that, I've kind of created a little rig here. This is a sacrificial 1.5-inch by 1/2-inch piece of ash that I basically just screwed on nice and flat. when you rip cut a bunch of lats like this, the natural curvature of the wood takes over. So you get this kind of ridiculous bending and twisting. Like you can see how this guy bows up at this end, this guy bows up at this end. So to combat that, because it is still very flexible, and obviously we can squeeze them together and put them where we want them to go, we'll start with one that's affixed, and then we'll add lats to it, keep them nice and tight, and then add another one that's going to be screwed in place. That doesn't help it with the rise and fall part of things, so I also made these guys, which have a bevel that fits this quite nicely, and we'll use these on either end and square them up to the first piece, so we can just kind of slide these on in to position, and they should stay nice and tight. Once we've got those in place, we'll slide one last one down on the end and screw it in place. Kelly divided these up into pretty ones, which have no pinholes and they're attractive pretty much the entire length of them, and the less pretty ones. Kelly also made me this super sweet template to aid in the design, and we'll just lay this right over the top once we've got all these in place and outline everything that we need. Then I will use the actual port light frame to get it nice and close, and then we'll take that frame, use a compass to scribe whatever distance from that frame we want to use, and cut all these out. So let's get going. Cut this first one to length. And what I'm trying to do is scribe exactly where it's going to fall along this meridian all the way down that way. I'm glad it fits in that little slot like I'd hoped it would, but next we need to just trace the back side of this to get the actual angle of how this goes. And to do that, I need my hands. I think it's about time for a test fit. This is the bottom piece, and I have a feeling I'm going to have to do this with every piece. Just get it up there, get it in place, and temporarily install it until we can get this nice and flush all the way around the perimeter of that port light. I was this close to routing this edge to make it look pretty. Then I figured, you know, once it's up and in the window, that's when I should route it. So it's all the way around, nice and even, and we're not trying to do individual boards. But I think the plan will be to rough cut these and mount them, and then individually cut each one and stack it up, fasten it in place, and then once it's all done, we'll sand them all, route them all, and make them look pretty as a team rather than as individuals, because that can cause problems. But let's go up there and test fit this, and then I've got to get to work. Yeah, we got a little bit too much of a notch right there. That's annoying. Whether or not that'll be a deal breaker is yet to be seen. Other than that, it's not too bad. Especially once it gets routed, it should be okay. For now, I'm going to mark where each of these little furring strips are on the hull. And then we'll be able to create a vertical line for all the fasteners to be connected in a pretty straight line, because they will be exposed. After that last little tweak that I needed to make on that last board, I didn't want to have to do that again. So I put up this piece of paper and I'm going to rub around the perimeter of the board light to try to get some sort of markings so I can cut it out and lay it over everything and have it be absolutely perfect. I'll pull that off and give it a cut to size, and then we'll go overlay it, and it should make my life a heck of a lot easier. Learn something new every day. I really wanted to like this paper. I mean, pink with blue painter's tape, it looks like bubblegum ice cream. It's pretty cute, but it rips like that so easily. Like it takes almost nothing, and then it takes this giant vertical shred right in the middle of what you're doing. So because of that, I cannot recommend the pink paper from Home Depot. But this is gonna work out great. See that little lip all the way around? That should work real nice. I've centered this the best I can and now have traced the exterior. I will obviously attempt to flatten out these bumps and ridges in my drawing. That should be a nice straight line, and I think I can achieve that, which will be nice because the scroll saw really does work hard to try to sand that out and make it pretty. That's all I can do for now. I gotta go hit my day job, so come back this evening, and keep going. Never ends. You've seen that boat. It needs a lot of work. It is far too hot for me to be wearing a shirt because I keep getting this ugly farmer's tan, so I apologize in advance. But I have laid out all these. They're held in place, and then I added the exterior dimensions of the window itself. Found the appropriate hole saw to match the radial angle, and then cut those holes out. So next I'm going to cut along these outside edges of this, and then we'll round it off with the router. I want to do this all while it's one piece, to treat it like one piece of wood so you don't get any mismatching and everything goes together well. After that, we'll cut off the ends at the appropriate spot, cut off the top at the appropriate spot, and be able to install these individually after we mark the fasteners in straight, perfect lines. Theoretically, that sounds fantastic. I hope it works. Okay, I've done as much as I can for right now, with the exception of getting these last little bits off and routing this inner edge. So I'm going to do that real quick. Just routed all the trim that will go around the port light. Now it's time to sand it all. We've got all our pieces. Now it's time for the moment of truth. We got to go test fit this thing to see if it's going to work. And then we can make it beautiful. So I'm going to collect all these and head up. We'll give it a go. This is the piece I call the narwhal.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
That's what I call it. There's number one. I don't know how exactly this is going to work, but we're going to attempt to lay these out and make sure that they're set well. I figure if number one fits, the rest should be pretty accurate because of the process that I took to build these. A little bit of a hump there. We can sand that out, flatten it. That's odd. It looks good, but look at the screw lines. It's like they're all out of order, which is weird because we drew a straight line up there, so it's got to be the contour of the boat.
Right.
Narwhal. I'm going to set that one aside. So we're going to line these out. We're going to stain them, let that dry for a couple of days, maybe. Then we're going to put a coat of 207 hardener epoxy, the clear stuff, and then we're going to varnish them with 3 layers. And these should be rock solid for decades to come. Let's do some staining. Grab this. Ooh, might be time for some more. There. Nothing I found is better for applying stain than a cut up, non-fuzzy shirt. This was quite the wife beater, because gray is classy. So I'm gonna pop this open, stain all these fellas, and then we'll call it an evening. A little variance in the wood. Overall, came out pretty well. Again, we're going to let that dry for at least a day. This stuff is oil-based, and the coatings we're putting on top are water-based, so it's better to let it completely cure before you switch out to a different material. Hardware came today for this, so as soon as these are ready to go, we're golden. We can install them. That'll be pretty cool. It'll make the cabin look really good.
During this phase of the refit, we built a lot of other pieces that we hope to finally install one day. Like these sweet little shelves for all our clothes. Here's a helpful hack for those pesky boat contours.
Little scissors?
The little ones?
Yeah, I made the little scissors.
There you go.
Anyway.
What's the idea here?
The idea is that you get that in there, then you take a compass.
Haven't seen one of those in ages.
Yep. And then you line this all up. And you trace this back line. And then once you've got that in there, now you have your contour line.
For whatever reason, the camera didn't pick up the pencil line, so you're just gonna have to trust us. It's there.
Far from perfect. Especially since the tip of the pencil did that. This should give us the shape of the hull. What do you say to that?
Looks
What do you say to that?
great.
It does actually.
Huh.
That works pretty well. So now I just have to go around and do all of them.
Stay tuned next week for the exciting installation of all these pieces. Next up on the agenda, we're ready to install those wooden slats. It's looking like a real ship.
It looks pretty cool actually. I like it.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're in. How's that corner look? Is it flush?
No.
Oh. Alright, I need to borrow that tool one more time.
One more time, got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate.
It's so tight. It's like the maiden.
Don't stop. Gotta get it in.
This one's a bit of a bear. Why am I talking like that? Ooh, yeah, that went down. Well, Kelly, I gotta say, pretty damn happy with how that turned out.
Me too. That looks awesome.
Thanks.
How you feeling?
Glad we're done. Happy that everything seems to have worked out to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Plus, that was a big success.
God, I think this was like one of the bigger successes we've had. This whole project.
Yeah?
Like design-wise, it looks exactly how I pictured it. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. In case you're wondering what the hell this is, it's the support to set the narwhal piece at the bottom while it dries. This was the only piece we had to glue down. The template wasn't a complete disaster, so that's good.
It kind of was. I had to redo it.
Shut your mouth.
I needed someone
Wait,
to
shut your
work
mouth.
the-
Shut your mouth.
As always, thanks for watching. Show us some love and hit that little red button below to become a subscriber.
Do this one now, Kelly. Do it. You can do it. Go.
Get your feet off of it.
What?
Yeah. Hold my beer.